a story tonight about my adventures as a musician. I don't know if you've ever thought about, whether some of you are musicians or ever thought about it, but when I was 35, I decided it was time for me to do something different, to break out of my everyday and to do something great. And at that time, Bill Clinton was president, and they showed him, going into this random place and jamming on the saxophone, and I thought, yeah, that's what I want to be able to do. So I want to be able to take an instrument and just be able to go and jam somewhere like that, with the instrument. Sounds easy, right? The only thing is I'm not very coordinated. I'm one of those people at aerobics that sort of go in the other way when everybody else is going this way. So it presented a little bit of challenge when I did decide, okay, it was definitely the saxophone. I love the sound of the saxophone, and I love jazz, so it was going to be the saxophone. But it's got so many keys and so many things to do. You've got to make sure you hold it up, and so I'm not really sure. The start was a little rocky, but I decided, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I like to make a challenge for myself. So my mother was having a birthday party. I guess it was about 6 months away, and I thought, okay, that's my chance to jam, right? Because we're all looking for our parents' approval, right? And so even though I'm 35, in my mother's eyes, I'm 10, and I behaved as such because I was going to play at her birthday party. So I went through the adventures of getting a tutor and doing that, and that went pretty well. You start with the basics and you learn. So I thought that I was doing pretty well. I was learning the basics. And then I got really bold, and I took some vacation, and I took a workshop where they put people with different instruments together, and you would create a band, and at the end of the workshop, you played against each other, which was really cool. And luckily, they placed you with different people of different skills. So because my skill set was I could basically sit there and go, right? That's all I could do during my part. And I know that doesn't sound very sexy, but it was so cool to be up on that stage going, right? If it was you, the adrenaline was awesome, and I felt, yes, I am a rock star. So I thought, I am totally set up to do an awesome job for my mom's party. The only thing is I decided it would be easier when I got to the party. Oh, I got to tell one other thing. It's not always easy when you have neighbors that live close by. Because the saxophone is a little bit loud. I didn't have a padded room or anything like that in my house. And I actually lived in Zurich, Switzerland at the time, and they're really uptight, right? Especially my neighbors next door, they're really uptight. They call them Bünzli. That's like really, really uptight. So, I would play over lunch. I thought, what a good thing. I'll come home at lunch, I'll play, it won't bother anyone, it'll be fine. So, I play at lunch, and then about a week or two later, there's a letter in my mailbox from my neighbor, because they don't have the balls to come up to the door and tell me what they have to say. This is what the Swiss do. So they wrote me a letter, and the letter said, basically with highlights of the ordinance that in Switzerland you cannot make noise between 12 and 1 and other times. And so they made sure to let me know that, not that my music sucked, thank you, but that I was making noise that wasn't allowed during that time frame. So at least they spared me, even though I totally felt like somebody punched me in the gut, because I know what they were saying is that I sucked. And I tried everything. I went down into the basement, and can you hear it from here? Nonetheless, it didn't squash my spirit. I continued to practice for my mom's party. So when the time came for the party, I was really excited. I didn't bring my own saxophone because I thought, okay, well, I can rent one in the location, because I was coming from Zurich, Switzerland, and whatnot. So we rented a saxophone, and I should have known that there were a number of mishaps that had happened. So first of all, I forgot my music, and so I was really going to jam because I was going to have to do it from scratch, which I don't know how that was going to work out. And on our way to pick up the saxophone, my brothers and I were all in the back going, and my mom's going, shut up, and then somebody, bam, whacks into the back of the car, right, just as we're going in to pick up the saxophone. So like, who the hell needed to pick up this saxophone? Now we gotta... Wasn't a big deal, but it was just like one of those things, right? And then as we were preparing for dinner, right, I spilled something all over me, and I had to go change. So I should have seen this as the foreshadowing and just kind of let it go and not gotten up to play. But the time came, and I thought, again, I'm seeking my mom's approval. I want her to see how good I really got. I don't know what possessed me. I was 35 years old. I mean, really, think about yourself now. Would you, I don't know what was possessing me. I really felt like I was that 10-year-old again because I didn't have any fear. I got up in front of everybody and I played whatever it was, like a simple Kenny G song or whatever. And that wasn't meant to be funny. I like Kenny G. So, so I played my song, and luckily I was so into what I was doing that I probably didn't see the horrified faces, like, of whatever people were doing. But, they treated me like that 10-year-old child as well, which was really nice. So they clapped, and they were all excited. I mean, after all, they were all family. That was pretty much the last performance that I did. And so, because of the neighbors and my performance, and also I got pregnant, and they said that I shouldn't play while I was pregnant. Then I got pregnant again, so it kind of like, a couple years passed, and I was like, well, my super goal to be this jazzist by the time I was 40 was quickly passing. So the silver lining of the story really wasn't for me, it was for my neighbors and everyone else within earshot that I gave it up.